Hello and welcome to Connecting is Not Enough, the networking radio show. I'm Andy Lopata. In this episode, I'll share 5 ways to time your request for referrals perfectly. I ask a room of undergraduates just why Richard Branson would want to meet them, and I challenge PH Creative's Brian Adams to explain why you should care about Google Plus and Klout. We've got music from Knee Deep, and we'll finish with a look at how law firms and everyone else need to adapt to increased competition. Now, I'm the very first to admit that I'm very lucky that I enjoy my work, and so this week has been the perfect example of just why. I returned this morning from Timisoara in Romania, where I spoke on connected leadership yesterday at a great leadership conference. The welcome I received from people at the event will always stay with me, and the enthusiasm of the audience was just infectious. One of the highlights of these trips is the new friends you make, and I certainly feel that that's been the case in the last 48 hours. A number of people asked me when I'll be coming back, and I hope the answer is going to be soon. One of the people I met who I now feel privileged to count as a friend was Israeli conductor and fellow speaker Itay Kalgam. Itay's presentation, Maestro, was quite unique as he worked with the Banatul Philharmonic Orchestra to illustrate leadership skills demonstrated by great conductors throughout the years. Now, I was very privileged. I witnessed the transformation from when he first met the orchestra, late on Wednesday afternoon, to a wonderful concert to end yesterday's programme. The orchestra were quite resistant to Itay's presence initially, with negative body language demonstrating how far they felt they were being taken out of their comfort zone. They're simply not used to being talked to and asked their opinion. But by the end of the performance yesterday, they were clearly having fun and enjoying working with Itay. It was the perfect demonstration of developing rapport with people from a difficult start and developing trust through engagement, involvement, and conversation. If you want to have a look for yourself, exactly what I'm talking about, you can see Itay's talk for TED Global in 2009 in my newsletter, which was also published today. Alas, without the accompanying orchestra, but it's still absolutely wonderful to watch. Now, I'm very worried it's just a week to go before my stand-up comedy debut next Thursday evening as part of the Funny Women Challenge the Men event. If you haven't booked your tickets yet, please do come along. It should be a fun night and a good networking opportunity to boot. You can book tickets at www.funnywomen.com. Thank you to everyone who sponsored me as I try and raise £2,500 for Action for ME. If you haven't done so yet and you still want to support me, you can do so at virginmoneygiving.com/Andy Lopata. And don't forget, if you'd like to receive regular networking tips in your inbox, you can subscribe to Connecting is Not Enough, the e-zine, at www.lopata.co.uk, and of course you can see Itay's TED Talk there this week. I hope that you enjoy the radio show in the meantime, and I look forward to your feedback. If you're serious about developing a networking and referral strategy that can take your business to a new level, or if you're interested in booking me for a speech or training session for your team, please do get in touch through our website at lopata.co.uk or email me at andy@lopata.co.uk. I look forward to hearing from you. If you've built a strong network, then you should be able to ask for the introductions that will make a difference to you. Like anything though, timing is everything, and too often traditional sales training teaches us to ask at the wrong time, such as straight after a sales meeting or when someone has just said thank you for something. Here are 5 ways to get the timing right when you ask for referrals. Step 1. When the relationship and their trust in you is at the right level. Don't rush towards asking for referrals straight away just because someone has the right contacts for you. Build the relationship first and ask when you know it will be a pleasure for the other person to refer rather than a chore. Focus on the other person first. Look to develop the relationship by helping them make the right connections, offer your support, or just show a genuine interest in them. Step 2. When it's a two-way process. If your relationship with someone else is deep enough and you're in a position to refer each other, you can be far more transactional in the way that you ask. Why not buddy up and refer each other as a matter of course? I've got a number of clients who meet with referral partners on a regular basis. They open up their address books and they swap introductions. This approach works best once you've got a very strong level of mutual trust and confidence in each other. Step 3, when you're catching up. If you haven't seen someone for a while, arrange to meet them for a catch-up over coffee or over lunch. As you talk about what each of you is doing at the moment, opportunities for introductions will probably crop up and referrals become a natural part of the conversation. Help such opportunities arise by preparing before you meet and considering which introductions your champion is likely to be in a position to make. Step 4. When your champion is going to be meeting your prospect. Your task when asking for referrals is to make it as easy as possible for your network to make the introductions for you. And depending on the nature of their meeting, there are few times when it is easier for them to do so than when they're in front of the person that you want to meet. If you know your champion is meeting with someone you'd like to be introduced to, help them understand exactly why that person would want to meet you and how to introduce you into the conversation so that they're comfortable raising the topic. Step 5. When you've something specific to ask for. The number one way to make it easy for people to refer you is to ask for something specific. You're far more likely to be successful if you ask, can you introduce me to X, Y, or Z, than if there's anyone you know who. By being specific, you're giving your champion a focused task rather than a vague objective. So develop the relationship and wait to ask until you know it's the right time for a specific introduction. So that's 5 ways to ask for referrals at the right time. 1, when the relationship and their trust in you is at the right level. 2, when it's a two-way process. 3, when you're catching up. 4, when your champion is going to be meeting with your prospect. And 5, when you've something specific to ask for. During my recent talk for Lloyd's Scholars, I discussed with the audience why they need to think about the impression they leave with other people. In a breakout session, I'd asked what they want people to say about them when they're not in the room, and the normal responses I get, such as professional and reliable, were instantly offered. In this clip from my talk, I challenged this approach, asking whether Richard Branson would want to meet them simply because they're passionate.
But one of the examples I gave, you can just hone in and say, I would like to meet so-and-so, just to get through this exercise, to understand how it works. And the example I gave a couple of the groups was Richard Branson, because I meet so many people who, when you say, who do you want to meet? They say, Richard Branson. We all want to meet Richard Branson. Interestingly, I always say, why would he want to meet you? But when I start with, why do you want to meet him? I don't know, I just want to meet Richard Branson. And I think one of the things you need to know in your career as you go through it is very clearly what you want to achieve from every meeting, from every person you connect with. Not necessarily in the immediate term. I'm not suggesting that you have an agenda with everyone you meet, but if you know your career objectives, if you know where you want to go and you know how other people can help you, as you connect with people and as you build deeper relationships, the ways they can help you become much more obvious, much more apparent. So that clarity of focus of where you want to go will help you. But then you need to think why Richard Branson would want to meet you. When you've got your idea as to why you want to meet him, now, why is that relevant to him? Why does he care? And you have to get inside his mind. And then you can focus on getting that message out. Pete was talking about being passionate. And on your internships, you know, we want people to see we're passionate in everything we do, and that's really great. It's not just about being good at my job, Pete said, it's about why. And it's because we're passionate about it. Now, my extension of that was, okay, if you want to meet Richard Branson, he'll want to know that you're passionate about something he is passionate about, that's relevant to him. And that's the key with this. It's quite interesting, the team that worked on leadership, who worked on leadership? You probably all dotted over across the room now. I really like what you've got here. You've got Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Gandhi, and so on and so forth. You've listed people you see as top leaders. And in the middle, you've written, what are these guys? What are these guys? Are they famous? Are they role models? Are they icons because they're professional? Because they're reliable? Because they're good at their job? Is that what springs to mind? Is that what made you think of them? You know, I really admire Nelson Mandela. He is so reliable. That's not what made them spring to mind, is it? What are these guys? Well, what are you? Why did you say hardworking, professional, reliable, when those aren't the terms that you would apply to your role models? So maybe one thing you can look at is, what is it about them that makes them stand out for you? What is it that makes them jump out of the page? What makes them icons? What makes them role models? What can you learn from that? What is it you want other people to say about you when you're not in the room?
Google Plus was introduced a couple of years ago, and it's now officially the second largest social network in the world. But are people using it proactively, and can businesses cope with yet another social network? I recently spoke to Brian Adams of Liverpool-based marketing agency PH Creative. Brian specialises in internet marketing and social media, so I asked him for his take on Google Plus, as well as his view on another social site, Klout.
So Brian, the great battle between Facebook and Google, I don't see people using Google Plus at the moment. What have they got in their armoury to change that? How are they going to get people away from Facebook?
Well, that's a really good question, and it's been debated online significantly over the last 12 months. And I think the answer lies with Google's focus is definitely more towards capturing the attention and the efforts of business, whereas Facebook is primarily focused on the individual. And I think Google is using Google Plus as an accelerator to gain visibility within the search engines, and I think that's definitely on the radar of businesses. Businesses that are switched onto that now are starting to engage with Google Plus.
So you're saying that if businesses are posting content to Google Plus, they're going to be found in search more easily?
Absolutely. The content ranks significantly quicker than the traditional blog, for example. It's also more engaging in terms of it has an avatar and more information, so it's not just text links, so the click-through is significantly more. And the idea of author rank is now coming to fruition, so individuals, so experts and consultants and that kind of thing can gain visibility and better search engine rankings.
Can you explain the author rank just briefly?
Sure. Author rank is essentially the equivalent of websites are ranked with in pages. Pages are given ranks in terms of the value of the content, the relevancy of and credibility of the content on them. And now Google is doing the same with authors. So if you have a following on a blog and then you publish content on somebody else's blog, you're rewarded for that content. It's not just one place, so you can take it with you.
Okay, so I blog, I tweet, I post videos. If I can get an author rank up and if I can get positioning on the search engines, can I not just put that information onto Google Plus but carry on with my engagement elsewhere? Why would I want to actually change my time that I devote to search engines to Google Plus over, say, Facebook or Twitter?
Well, you definitely should continue to engage in different channels, but there's definitely evidence starting to emerge that engaging directly with Google Plus will give you significant more benefits in terms of search engine rankings than if you just rely on other channels, such as the traditional blog. And in terms of author rank, if you think of when David Beckham negotiated his own image rights from Man United, that was a watershed moment where the value of his personal brand he could take to any club, he could take anywhere, he could use it for additional advertising and such like that. That's exactly what's happening in terms of search engines and business. So it's interesting that going forward, I think you'll see author rank appear on people's CVs. I think you'll see people being paid for guest blogging and putting content in certain places to get other people's pages to rank in search engines, and it's just a step forward for Google, bringing more relevant and valuable content to its customer.
So interestingly, you're talking about using things like AuthorRank to bring value to individuals in terms of their content. And the final question, we've seen sites like Klout, for example, around for a while, where, you know, we were talking about this earlier, where I've been quite sceptical about where the real value is with Klout. And American Airlines have recently done a deal with Klout to try and get those influencers in. So have I been wrong? I mean, is there real value in getting your Klout score up and getting your author rank up, and how does that work? How do you use a site like Klout?
Well, I think in the past my opinion of Klout has been fairly negative. I think they've been a leech on the industry, but recently we've been using Klout to research and find the influences of an influencer, for example. And I think the idea of attributing a value and a score to an individual is interesting, and it's certainly got Google's attention now. But I think the difference is, with Klout, it's kind of intangible, and nobody really knew what to do with that value other than use it for vanity purposes. Now what we're saying is Google are doing exactly the same thing, but they're harnessing the same concept and giving you a net result, which means that your content will rank higher than somebody else's. It will it'll be indexed faster, and it will give you tangible business benefits. And of course, it all comes back down to using Google products more often.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Brian.
It's time for a musical interlude now, and Arden Hart is an old friend from my school and university days who played in bands then, and he's still recording with a number of fine artists now. One of those bands is Knee Deep, and this track is Stand Up. That was Knee Deep with Stand Up. According to Anthony Hilton in The Independent last month, law firms face the prospect of losing their comfortable life as deregulation of their market introduces competition in fields they've traditionally dominated. Hilton explained that estate agents are taking an increasing share of conveyancing work, accounting firms are offering legal services on the side, and the dispute resolution site on eBay is handling 60 million complaints a year. The chief executive of the Law Society, Des Hudson, has warned that the profession faces tough times ahead and firms need to work hard if they're going to survive. Now, one of the toughest tests facing law firms in this changing marketplace will be how they compete with large providers of services without resorting to price competition. Hudson compared the challenge facing lawyers to the liberalisation of the optical market in 1985, which saw the balance of power swing from independent opticians to national chains. How many local opticians, for example, do you know who can now compete with Specsavers on price? As a result, lawyers are going to be increasingly reliant on their networks, and they're not alone. The nature of market economics has changed. Consumers have far more information at their fingertips than ever before, and the internet has created lower barriers to entry in many markets across many industries, particularly where a service is being sold rather than a physical product. Trying to compete on price alone seems to be a losing battle for all but very well-funded businesses. Service is certainly an area where you should seek to excel in, but many of your competitors will also, quite fairly, claim to offer a high level of service. Marketing experts such as Grant LeBoff argue that the concept of the USP, the unique selling proposition, is outdated in flooded markets. A strong network can make all the difference. The most successful partners in the legal profession have commonly developed a strong base of contacts to provide them with business throughout their careers. But this is not an approach that's been typically adopted formally by firms. If, as Hudson suggests, they're going to struggle to survive in the modern world, then that's got to change. You may not be able to compete on price or service, but you can compete on network, especially in a local market where many law firms operate. With a buying decision in which confidence in the service provider plays such a major role, customers will be happy to pay a little bit more if they have the peace of mind that the supplier has been recommended by a trusted contact. Local firms are far more likely to be able to generate or be focused on generating these referrals than large corporations. Similarly, a strong network of people in the right position can provide you with the insight into when opportunities are likely to arise and what buyers are looking for, giving you a head start in winning key business. Opportunities created through networks can no longer be left simply to chance and luck. The firms that successfully fend off the new challengers will be those who look at the strength of networks across their organisation and how effectively they leverage them. They will ask what they need to achieve and how other people can help them to reach their objectives. Law firms are having to adapt, and so are firms across most industries. Networks are the secret weapon that can help to maintain and then build market share. It's time to treat them seriously. Thank you very much for joining me and for tuning into the Networking Radio Show. I'll be back on June the 27th with more tips, more interviews, and of course some music. In the meantime, enjoy your networking and making new friends.